everybody thinks that converting to speed density is kind of complicated, but to be completely honest, it really doesn't have to be. You can literally just use your stock mass airflow sensor to power it all. And that's the part that the YouTube tutorials didn't really explain very clearly. So that's why in this video, I'm gonna be converting this Evo 8 to speed density the simple way. And because honestly, it is so easy now that I've found this simple route, I am gonna go ahead and be throwing in this Kiggly HLA, because honestly, if I were to try to make this video just about the speed density, it'd probably be about 2 minutes. So let's jump in. So I know if you're anything like me, you probably are here because you are interested in converting your Evo 8 to speed density from mass airflow sensoring. And honestly, it really is as easy as I'm making it sound. All you need to do is go ahead and have a stock mass airflow sensor, a location for a new 4-bar map sensor, and this handy dandy intercooler pipe from ETS or InGen or whoever you end up using, because you will need a space for a bung with the GM IAT sensor. So now that we have cleared up pretty much everything we're going to need to convert the car to speed density, why don't we go ahead and jump on the HLA install? So this really is all it is. It's just 2 pieces. It is going to be replacing the OEM oil distribution block. The 2 pieces are this guy right here. It is the distribution plate. It allows the oil to flow through the head, and then this guy right here is the regulator body. All this does is actually regulate so that it does stay at a constant 15 psi. Because to be honest, when you're running high boost and you're moving, you want the oil to stay in the pan and not in the head excessively. So I am going to go ahead, jump on a time lapse of just trying to get this valve cover off. Just as a little caveat, I already have this sort of unbolted from when I did work on it a while back. So I only have 2 bolts in here, but there are a ton of bolts in the front, the back, the side, and then under this cover right here that you will have to take off if you're going to take the valve cover off. But with that, I'll throw on a time lapse and let's jump on getting this guy off. No, I'm not saying that anymore. I was going to stop saying getting this guy off. Let's get this valve cover off. As you can see, we got the HKS 272 cams. They are all looking pretty good. I personally didn't install these. These were here from the previous owner, but they all look good, no scoring. And then this guy right here, this is the one we're gonna be replacing. So it is just 3 10mm bolts. And we're gonna go ahead and zip those off and get the new piece on. Go ahead, try and just gently clean this off. Try not to mess anything up while I'm doing it. But really all we're looking for is kind of just dry off the mating surface. So I'm gonna go ahead and just throw the distribution plate onto the head. It is gonna take a little bit of moving around, honestly, to try to line. Actually, I got it pretty easily. One of the videos I did see, they didn't get it quite so easy. And just so everybody knows, there is no sealant that goes on here. It is just the torque that ends up keeping this thing in place and leak free. So now that's lined up, and I'm gonna go ahead, throw these bolts back in. I did go through and just chase them real quick just to try to clean out the threads. Going back in here, and it's 8 foot-pounds is the torque. And just like that, it's in. Super easy, really nothing to mess up there. Take a look at it. I mean, really, there's nothing to say. It's super easy. It's going to keep the head at a constant 15 psi oil pressure. That way it doesn't get over-oiled, keep all the oil in the pan, and that's all it is. Honestly, though, for like, I don't know, under 200 bucks, I think it was, just for insurance, might as well get it and throw it in. So I'm going to throw it on a time lapse, jump back on getting this valve cover back on. I would go ahead and put a new gasket, but I am going to repaint the valve cover, so there's no point to try to muddy up a gasket now. So I'm just going to throw it back on loosely, and we'll move on with the video. Okay, now that we got that in, we can go ahead and jump on the next part of the video, probably why you're here, and let's get down to the speed density conversion. A couple of things that I didn't realize when I started. I was kind of curious as to how the ECU went ahead and kind of switched over to a speed density, how I was gonna power the IAT sensor. So why don't we go ahead, jump over the bench, and we'll start with the IAT sensor. All right, so this is my ETS upper intercooler piping. This is the stock route, not the short route piping. So the IAT sensor will be facing towards the ground in the bottom, along with the, I guess, bypass valve. I'm using the stock bypass valve as a blow-off valve because honestly, I'm just trying to save some funds. So this is a GM IAT sensor. It came in the kit that I did get from STM Tuned. I believe it comes with the IAT sensor, a bung if you do need it to weld onto your stock intercooler piping. It does come with the 4-bar map sensor. I forget which one I got. I want to say it's AEM for some reason. And then it does come with this guy, which is just the other side connector that would go from the mass airflow sensor that you'd wire in and then go plug in to the IAT sensor. And so this is ultimately where I started having some trouble with what I was going to do to go ahead and power the IAT sensor for the setup. Everyone knows you can go ahead, you can strip the wires down, you can solder them together, heat shrink them, loom them after that. It's kind of a lot of work. You end up cutting the harness up. So I really didn't want to be cutting my stock mass airflow sensor harness in case this ever does go back to mass airflow. It's pretty easy to just connect it back into the intake that came on the car and then it should be fine. So originally what I wanted to do was I was trying to find a connector that would match this guy. This guy right here. So there's a bunch of pins in here, obviously, for the mass airflow sensor. There are 2 in here, though. I believe it's a blue one and a black one. It's signaling and ground for the IAT sensor. So what a lot of people do is they'll take all these out, cut it off, and then just splice in the new IAT sensor lead up to the sensor. What I wanted to do was get a connector that would essentially connect into here, and I could just do 2 pins. Well, come to find out, it turns out that they do not really make a connector that mimics the mass airflow sensor where this plugs in, except for one company I did find. And that brings me to this guy. This guy right here is the Spoolinup speed density harness. It does come, as you can see, with a custom molded and 2-pin inserted connector. So this really is going to make it super simple. This is a GM IAT sensor connector, so really it's super duper plug and play. I don't have to mess with anything, and essentially this just plugs into the mass airflow sensor, and then it's a 3-foot cable that leads up to here where the IAT sensor is. And so that's kind of why I wanted to make this video, because honestly, when I had first started researching about the speed density tuning and how it is converted over and what you have to do, I was honestly a little intimidated with the wiring side of it because I really didn't want to be cutting the harness. These cars are getting older, they're becoming harder to find, harnesses are disappearing, so I wanted to keep it in stock form as much as possible. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to get that intercooler pipe reinstalled. It does come with thread locker on the sensor already, so all I did was just tighten it down basically as far as I could tighten it, and it's ready to go. So I'm gonna go ahead, throw that on, get this guy connected in, and then I can show you the map sensor. Okay, so you can see all I did was get this pipe bolted back in with these clamps. Went ahead, plugged the modified connector, the custom molded connector into the mass airflow sensor. The 2 pins for the IAT run back here. It did have plenty of cable. I definitely wouldn't have ran out of length if I needed it. The only thing I would say is maybe plug, if you are going to install this intercooler kit, install that first, plug the sensor in, then install the pipe, and then plug into the mass airflow sensor down here. It was just a little tight over here, so it's a little bit of a pain to try to get your fingers to click it in place. But with that installed now, it's basically, we're almost there. The only other thing you would have to do is install the new map sensor. This is a 4-bar. Like I said, I think it was an AEM brand. It is a plug and play. It just goes right with the stock connector and uses the stock bolts to mount it in place. And so with that being done, that's pretty much it. That is all speed density is. It's just instead of using a mass airflow sensor in the intake, you are switching to using the manifold absolute pressure and the intake air temperature, I guess, reading, and combining those two to be able to find the air to fuel ratio. It is a little bit more reliable for high horsepower cars, and if there are problems with your vacuum, if you got a vacuum leak or something, you won't really get stranded as much as if you were going a mass airflow sensoring. And I guess that really brings me just to the last point with converting to the speed density on the Evo. This part I haven't even done yet. I've just been doing research on it. Really, that comes down to the software side of things. So what I am going to be going with, obviously, if you use like a Haltech Elite or like another standalone. It's going to give you a lot of flexibility with tuning. I personally am not trying to spend more than $1,000 on a new ECU for this, especially where I'm not going huge power on it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use the stock ECU on it. I'm going to get EvoScan, and I'm going to get something called Teframod V7. So the Teframod is really just a new ROM, so it's like kind of the new operating system for the stock ECU on the 7, 8, and 9 Evos. Really what it does is it unlocks the ability for the stock ECU to be able to do map switching between like ethanol and ethanol blends. It allows you to convert to speed density and just a few other things that honestly I'm not really interested in with the Teframod. And then you use EvoScan to be able to go ahead and actually tune all those new features that you do unlock with the modified ROM. So that's what I'm going to do. Like I said in past videos, I'm probably going to go with Black Sheep Tuning out of North Carolina. I know he does remote tuning, and he's been pretty helpful with like if I had any random like really niche questions about these motors. He's been pretty helpful with me, just kind of being nice and trying to give me a hand. So with that, that's really all I got. Like I said, I just wanted to make this video because, to be honest, when I first started looking into converting to speed density on this car, the only other car I do have that has speed density is the STI, but it was a very plug-and-play harness, kind of like this one. But I just thought I would throw it out there because I was a little frustrated by not trying to find anything really useful. There's like 2 videos out there on YouTube about converting to speed density, but it's kind of done in more of the let's just splice things together way, and I wanted more of like a really clean, reversible type way. So I thought I'd make this video, throw it out there for anyone that needs it. So that's pretty much all I got in this one. So if you guys do like the content, if you're finding value in it, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, throw me a like, and let me know down below. What do you think? Do you think it's worth it to get speed density tuning on a car that's not making a lot of power? Or should I have just stuck with the mass airflow sensor? Let me know, kind of curious of what your thoughts are. But until the next one, peace out, keep wrenching.